The Politics of Obedience, the Discourse of Voluntary Servitude. It is fruitless to argue whether or not liberty is natural, since none can be held in slavery without being wronged. And in a world governed by nature which is reasonable, there is nothing so contrary as an injustice. Since freedom is our natural state, we're not only in possession of it, but have the urge to defend it. Now, if perchance some cast a doubt on this conclusion, and are so corrupted that they're not able to recognize their rights and inborn tendencies, I shall have to do them the honor that is probably theirs, and place, so to speak, brute beast in the pulpit to throw light on their nature and condition. The very beast, God help me, if men are not too deaf, cry out to them, long live liberty. Many among them die as soon as captured, just as the fish loses life as soon as he leaves the water. So do these creatures close their eyes upon the light and have no desire to survive the lusts of their natural freedom. If the animals were to constitute their kingdom by rank, the nobility would be chosen from this type. Others, from the largest to the smallest, when captured, put up such a strong resistance by means of claws, horns, beak, and paws that they show clearly enough how they cling to what they're losing. Afterwards, in captivity, they manifest by so many evident signs their awareness of their misfortune, that it is easy to see their languishing rather than living, and continue their existence more in lamentation of their lost freedom than in enjoyment of their servitude. What else can explain the behavior of the elephant who, after defending himself to the last ends of his strength, and knowing himself on the point of being taken, dashes his jaws against the trees and breaks his tusks, thus manifesting his longing to remain free as he has been, and proving his wit and ability to buy off the huntsman in the hope that through the sacrifice of his tusks he will be permitted to offer his ivory as a ransom for his liberty. We feed the horse from birth in order to train him to do our bidding, yet he is tamed with such difficulty that when we begin to break him in, he bites the bit. He rears at a touch of the spear, as if to reveal his instinct, and show by his actions that, if he obeys, he does so not of his own free will, but under constraint. What more can we say? Even the oxen under the weight of the yoke complain, and the birds in their cage lament. As I expressed it some time ago, toying with our French poesy, for I shall not hesitate in writing to you, O Longa, to introduce some of my verses, which I never read to you because of your obvious encouragement, which is quite likely to make me conceited. And now, since all beings, because they feel, suffer misery in subjection, and long for liberty, since the very beast, although made for the service of man, cannot become accustomed to control without protest, what evil chance has so denatured man that he, the only creature really born to be free, lacks the memory of his original condition and the desire to return to it? There are three kinds of tyrants. Some receive their proud position through elections by the people, others by force of arms, others by inheritance. Those who have acquired power by means of war act in such wise that it is evident they rule over a conquered country. Those who are born to kingship are scarcely any better, because they are nourished on the breast of tyranny, suck in with their milk the instincts of the tyrant, and consider the people under them as their inherited serfs. And according to their individual disposition, miserly or prodigal, they treat their kingdom as their property. He who has received the state from the people, however, ought to be, it seems to me, more bearable, and would be so, I think, Were it not for the fact that as soon as he sees himself higher than the others, flattered by that quality which we call grandeur, he plans never to relinquish his possession. Such a man usually determines to pass on to his children the authority that the people have conferred upon him. And once his heirs have taken this attitude, strange it is how far they surpass other tyrants in all sorts of vices, and especially in cruelty, because they find no other means to impose this new tyranny than by tightening control and removing their subjects so far from any notion of liberty that even if the memory of it is fresh, it will soon be eradicated. Yet, to speak accurately, I do perceive that there is some difference among these three types of tyranny. But as for stating a preference, I cannot grant there is any. For although the means of coming into power differ, still the method of ruling is practically the same. Those who are elected act as if they were breaking in bullocks. Those who are conquerors make the people their prey. Those who are heirs plan to treat them as if they were their natural slaves. In connection with this, let us imagine some newborn individuals, neither acquainted with slavery nor desirous of liberty, ignorant indeed of the very words. If they were permitted to choose between being slaves and free men, to which would they give their vote? There can be no doubt that they would much prefer to be guided by reason itself than to be ordered or bowed by the whims of a single man. The only possible exception might be the Israelites, who, without any compulsion or need, appointed a tyrant. I can never read their history without becoming angered and even inhuman enough to find satisfaction in the many evils that befell them on this account. But certainly all men, as long as they remain men, before letting themselves become enslaved, must either be driven by force or led into it by deception, conquered by foreign armies, as were Sparta and Athens, by the forces of Alexander, or by political factions, as when, at an earlier period, the control of Athens had passed into the hands of Pisistratus. When they lose their liberty through deceit, they are not so often betrayed by others as misled by themselves. This was the case with the people of Syracuse, chief city of Sicily, when, in the throes of war and heedlessly planning only for the present danger, they promoted Denis, their first tyrant, by entrusting to him the command of the army, without realizing that they had given him such power that on his victorious return this worthy man would behave as if he had vanquished not his enemies but his compatriots, transforming himself from captain to king, and then from king to tyrant.